Anderson Cooper, AC 360, CNN weeknights 10 Eastern.
How many people in total did you help die?
It's around 130.
Around
a little more than 130. Right.
You're not sure of the exact number?
Well, I was helped by a colleague, a psychiatrist, who joined me near the end. The only doctor who offered to join me. In fact, the only doctor who would all cooperate with me.
And the first time you did it, who was the first?
Janet Adkins was the first.
And that was in a van?
In a van.
Why in a van?
I couldn't find a place. I tried nursing homes, churches,
you didn't want to do it at your
clinics.
apartment?
No, because the police would raid the apartment, clean it out. And I didn't want to involve anybody else in it, like the landlord.
I mean, what is that like, to end somebody's life in a van?
Well, you're not ending the life. I didn't do it to end the life. I did it to end the suffering the patient's going through. The patient is obviously suffering. What's the doctor supposed to do? Turn his back? If he's a coward, he is. But
a lot of doctors do, though.
Well, they're cowards. Doctors are cowards, you know that. They won't take anything that's going to hurt their income or their reputation. Anything any legal thing that's going to possibly be damaging.
I mean, do you have nightmares about it? Did you ever feel?
No. I don't think a doctor should have a nightmare about any medical procedure, or else he's not a doctor.
Did you find it sad?
Well, of course. You don't like to end a life. Look, if somebody's got a cancer of the bone, of the hip, you don't take the leg off at the joint, in the hip joint, because you want to do it. I says, I'm going to take that leg off. I can't wait to take that leg off. No. The leg has to come off to help save the patient's life. Unfortunately, it entails the loss of a leg.
But a lot of people, as you know, I mean, say, look, you're playing God. That shouldn't.
Well, isn't the doctor who takes a leg off playing God?
You're saying doctors play God all the time?
Of course. Anytime you interfere with a natural process, you're playing God. God determines what happens naturally. That means that when a person's ill, he shouldn't go to a doctor because he's asking for interference with God's will. But of course, patients can't think that way. They want to live as long as possible and not suffer. So they call a doctor to help them end the suffering.
Are you a religious man?
No.
Do you believe in God?
I don't know. Is there a God? Look, I'm a scientist. A doctor is always a scientist.
Do you fear death?
Well, as much as anybody else. I fear it only because I like living so much because I feel good.
If you were ill, if you had a terminal illness and were in pain, would you take your own life?
If it was unending pain and there was no cure, of course. I'm doing this for me. See, it's my natural right. That's in the Constitution, in the Ninth Amendment, which is ignored. I have a natural right to do whatever I want with my body, anything, as long as it doesn't affect anybody else or any other property, and I give myself permission to do it. That's true of anything. I help a patient only with his permission to do what I think is necessary, and it's all laid out in detail to the patient.
Do you think you've had an impact? Do you think you've been successful?
I think this film may have an impact because it's very emotional and very powerful. But it helps the issue, and that's what counts. Whether it helps me or not is irrelevant. And I like that because it helps the issue.
You use different ways of ending people's lives.
Yes.
At first, what did you use?
I had to devise a way to do it. The patient was quadriplegic who wanted a doctor to come and help him die. I says, look, I can help you, but it's illegal. So I've got to find a way to do it legally. And I'll get back in touch with you. And in the meantime, I was working on a way to do it.
So you basically just came up with an idea in your mind to make a machine.
That would save me from having to do it.
So a machine that would allow the person to actually end their own life.
That's right. I would set up the machines, all the solutions and everything, in the intravenous line, and then the patient would hit a switch and start everything flowing.
Later on, you started using a gas.
Yeah, because they took away my license for the controlled substance.
So you couldn't get access to...
So they made it harder for me and harder for the patient. But that didn't bother them. See, they don't care about the patient suffering. See?
So you actually, so what, you would put something over their head and give them a gas?
No, we first tried one case with a thing I devised over the head of a plastic that's you could see through, transparent.
Right.
But the patient panicked and said, stop it. So I stopped it. We stopped it. And I says, why don't we try this another day? He said, no, do it now. He was determined to end it. He had severe emphysema. And that helps the panic. When you breathe and you have trouble breathing, when you're breathing carbon monoxide gas. When you have carbon monoxide poisoning at night, when you're asleep, it doesn't wake you up. You die. In other words, it's not so disturbing that it would wake you up. Therefore, it can't be too disturbing when you take it awake.
And the final patient, Tom Yao.
Yeah.
That case was different. You actually injected him yourself.
That's right.
You actually injected him because you wanted to go to court.
I wanted to bring the case so that I get standing. They can't say they didn't get the particularized case they wanted.
And you thought it would go to the Supreme Court and that basically this would change the law of the land.
Yeah, I hope this go to get. I doubt it, though, because I knew the court's corrupt.
I want to just show a little video that you made prior to the injection.
And we're ready to inject. We're going to inject in your right arm. Okay? Tom? You asleep? He's asleep.
When you see that, what do you think?
That the law has forced me to do this in the most undignified way.
You think it's undignified?
Of course it is. There's no family there. We're alone, two of us. I can't risk anybody else's life.
You had told his family that they should leave.
You must not be there because they'll try to prosecute you as an accomplice or something. You don't know because they're cruel. The law is cruel. They don't care about the patient. They care about the letter of the law.
Bond is set for $50,000. You going to pay that today?
Oh, that is beyond egregious, Your Honor.
There is no way I'm going to pay a bond like that, Your Honor. You can forget it. You can forget it. Because this is the last time
Jack.
you people unjustly take away from me my liberty.
I need a moment of my time, Your Honor.
And I will not, hear me now, I will not eat.
Jack.
Guaranteed.
I apologize
You are
for my
assisting
client,
in
Your
my
Honor.
suicide.
Please, Jack, just come on.
You're off parole now, right?
Oh, yeah. I have only 2 years after I got out of prison on
So
parole.
you're a free man.
Yeah.
Would you do it again? Would you help somebody?
Under certain circumstances, yes. As long as I know they're not going to throw me in jail again and prison me. Yeah, I will do it again.
Have you had people approach you for help to end their life?
They approached me even. I got letters from them even when I was in prison. They wanted help. They wanted advice how to do it. I couldn't do that in prison.
Can you give advice to people now?
Not in parole. It stopped. With parole ending, I could give any advice I want.
So now you could give advice
Absolutely.
to
I can. Notice I'm talking very freely about it.
And are you in touch with people who want to end their
Not
life?
right now. No. They all assume, like the judge says, you have now been stopped. Well, she was wrong. I haven't.
You haven't been stopped.
No, of course not. I still push for this issue, and when a chance comes, I'll do it the way it should be done.
What do you mean? You will help someone else end their life?
Yeah, because you have it in 3 states, so-called.
Oregon, Washington.
That's not done right. That's not a medical service. A doctor can't be involved. Illegal. You'll be punished. AMA says you'll lose your license. Scares the hell out of me.
So will you build another machine?
I don't need a machine. A doctor can do the injecting. The machine was just to avoid being charged with having committed the crime.
But you don't have access to the pharmaceuticals anymore, do you?
Not yet. But if it were illegal, in other words, if the law stepped out of the picture, if religion stopped pushing this opposition, then we could do it like a regular medical procedure, which it should be.